Hey, I'm recording. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Drunken Dungeons. Bringing you more of this role playing series, or make your own role playing game. Just before I get stuck into this, Funky Fluid Gelato, absolutely awesome. Go check these guys out, Funky Fluid. Check out their website, and if you can, pick up one of their beers. I think they're like in 30 countries. They're made in Poland, in Warsaw. These are absolutely fucking brilliant beers. I'm just going to open this up and then we'll get started. Oh, hear that, bye. Oh. Just to give you a look at this, you can hear the pour. Sexy. So guys, if you're not into beers but you're into juices, like you're a health freak, like these are definitely go have a few of these this summer. It's like 25 degrees here. And yeah, if you're over in Spain, check out La Fira. It's in Poblino. It's coming up soon enough. Go check that out as well. Some of their glasses from last year. So this is it's an ice cream sour. What the hell is in this? Blackberry, blackcurrant, marshmallow. I doubt they stuck marshmallow into it. Anyway, guys, let's get stuck into this. We'll pop over. I got some documents here I want to show you. Run over some stuff from last week. And then we're going to do a little bit later on. All right. Cheers. All right, guys. So we were looking at some of the strengths and ability stuff, I think, last week. So I made up two charts, okay? So we got one for strength, obviously, your weight and all that sort of stuff. Just because some people are into it, need to know what you can do with it. The damage and all that sort of stuff is still going to be attached the way we done it last week. Just so you can see, like, so we got some, your normal, what you can normally carry in your backpack without any kind of stress on you. And then as that fills up, then you can go across this kind of top section here. You can see our max deadlift and our pull and our drag maxes for our strength, like. The limit being 18 here for human. And then after that, then I don't think I'm really happy with these scores. I'm going to have a look at them again and see, because I mean, like the likes of Eddie Hall and his lift, and the guy who broke the world record for a lift, I don't know whether we should have that on this. That was like almost £2,000. Was it 2,500? I don't know. It was probably a hell of a lot more than this. Or kg actually. Sorry, not pounds. Would have been kg. Okay, so then we got like our light load penalties here. No penalty for light loads. Medium, -2 dex. That's just movement. You're carrying a heavy load. Your dex. We might actually... Yeah, I'd imagine it would be dex. And then your max load, then half speed. So if you're going around with a full backpack, it equates the same as the full backpack. Like you can see here, let's say 16, like... ask a question. Yeah, so you can see here. Okay, let's move over onto the intelligence. So basically your intelligence score. So we have an equivalent of IQ on it here as well. That's just to give you an idea. Not saying that you have to stick by that. Like the average score, obviously, of being 10, which is your 100 IQ, is your average score. Like now, what we've added in here as well is an XP multiplier, and we'll talk about that once we get on to the. Oh Jesus, fuck me. We'll talk about that once we get on to the how we're going to actually use XP. But this is a multiplier. So whatever XP you get, you're multiplying it by this. Okay, and that'll work on the skill check. And then, as we were speaking about last time, your natural floor, it's like your base skill level, okay? So I just put these in because it's going to work a bit different than the skills. So I just put this in here just for easiness. So you can see this is going to be for your, learning to use technology and all that sort of stuff. These are going to be your bonuses to your dice roll for that. And then if you're like doing tactitional stuff or any sort of intellectual based skill check, solely intellectual based now, not when we're not saying like strength and intelligence or dex and intelligence sort of stuff, like the weapon skill and the ballistic skill. We're talking about purely intellectual based sort of stuff, like that'll be based on this. So that might be like if you're playing a shaman or something, the intellectual stuff might be like, your spells, or you're mixing your potions, or your salves, or your healing abilities, or maybe your ancient knowledge, wisdom, and all that sort of stuff, like, or even translating languages and that. That would be all based on this. Okay? Alright, so let's move down to the next bit of stuff then that I got to do. Alright, so we'll look at this page here first. Okay, so the left hand side here. I'll probably just zoom in on this just to cut the other pages out, just so we're not getting complicated here, or we're not moving ahead. All right, so difficulty rolls, opposed skill levels. Just to clarify that, like, you know, all the difficulty scores here are the task levels. Okay, they're all generated by comparing opposed skill levels. So we're going to have our task skill level. So whatever the task is. Now this isn't like your shooting and your weapon skill sort of stuff. This is for other tasks. You know, like painting a flat wall, shooting a giant target, displaying in a major gallery. You know, I mean, like that's like a piece. You know, I mean, like, are you going to paint the Mona Lisa? Do you know? Selling an original artwork. So we're talking about, you know, being an artist that's proficient and can make a living off that. You know, or winning a local competition, or, you know, if your cool is good enough, your task level maybe win a local election or something like that. Okay, and placing the top tier of national matches. We're talking about like international football, stuff like that, or your top league sort of stuff. And then the 20, obviously, you know, breaking a world record, or creating a historical masterpiece. So that's what the task level is going to be. Now, this task level is going to be compared on the grid. Okay, so we have it here, look. All tasks have a skill level based on their difficulty to perform or achieve. Compare this number here, your task level, on the grid to the player's skill level, to the grid, yeah, basically. Yeah, fucking. And then you'll get your difficulty score that you need to make in the grid. So we can just easily run this. If it's 10 and your skill is 10, it's 10. Okay. If it's not 6 and your skill is 6, it's 10. Okay. Remember, we can have a look at you can have a look at the grid on it's in the on the Patreon with the rest of the stuff. Like, you can download it for free. It's free. Okay. Just to remind you. So that's what our task kind of stuff is going to be. Now that could be anything from identifying stuff, you know, like plants or that sort of that, if that's the sort of skills you have. But this is the difficulty. This is how we're going to set difficulty. It's not going to be any sort of a DC, because a higher level DCs get fucking crazy, and at higher level things should be fucking easier. Okay, you shouldn't be going up against, oh, I'm 15th level, but the DC I need to fucking pass is 25. Like why is it that? Okay, things don't get astronomically fucking difficult to that fucking sort of degree. Like, that's absolute absurdity. You can see that happening. That kind of started off in 3rd edition or 3.5 edition and moved into 5th. For D&D now we're talking about, okay? If you look at any other bloody role-playing game, you know, to be quite honest, that just reminds me of the likes of fucking Skyrim and that sort of base, where, like, you level up and so do all the fucking enemies. Well, that's not how shit works. You get better, and, you know, you fight someone or face something that's fucking less difficult, that's their problem. Do you know? You're the one that got yourself in the best situation you could. Okay, so let's move on then. Awarding XP. Alright, so XP is awarded when a successful task or difficulty score is overcome. So basically, if you succeed at one of these, you are going to be awarded XP. So it's based on the difficulty score of the score that you get when you cross stuff on the grid. So if it's a 10 or from 10 to 13, it's challenging. Okay, so on a success, you're going to get 40 XP. Okay, so that goes for shooting and weapon skill. You know, your weapon skill, you're fucking attacking people with swords. Same thing. You hit, you get 40 XP. Now, it might come to a thing where at some stage you're like, well, I'm not, you know, I'm fighting a bunch of goblins. I'm not getting, you know, like, well, what's the difficulty score for a goblin? You know, it's going to be 3 or something. It's going to be less. So you're not getting that much XP. Now, you could cut it out where you know, maybe you could lessen this, or you could just get rid of it altogether. But that's the idea. Okay, so you can see that the amount of XP awarded depends on the task difficulty score. Okay, so not everyone is going to have the same not everyone is going to have the same task difficulty. Okay, so task difficulty is dependent on the character's skill level. So it's exactly here, you know. Let's say we're going for something on 10 up on the task level here, you know. Drawing a picture. Okay, I'm pretty good at drawing. Okay, there are people who are absolute shit at drawing, and there are people who are fucking masters at drawing. So for them to complete a fully shaded portrait is going to be easier for them, you know? So the difficulty for them might be 6, okay? And someone who's shit at it, the difficulty might be 18, yeah? It just depends on their task level, their score, their skill level, I should say, sorry, in drawing, okay? So let's say it is 18. You know, you've just fucking gained yourself 250 XP. That's if you pass the score. Now, if you fail it, 50 XP. And that's just for pushing yourself, okay? Now, that's the difference, okay, on a failed XP. It's at the GM's discretion here, you can see here, okay? So, if you're just out the back garden, throwing rocks at fucking at a can, you know, you're not trying your best to hit them, you're just idly just chucking at them, and you're failing, you're not getting any XP for that, okay? Unless you're putting the effort in. That's what experience is. You need to put the effort in. Okay, so if you set yourself up to do something, spend the time, you know, go read a few books, learn how to do a couple of things or whatnot, and then you fucking fail, you're going to get some XP. But again, it's on the GM's discretion, okay? So it's completely up to the GM whether he wants to keep this or not. Now, let's just move on then to the level. The dog's trying to get in here. I just have an old sip of this beer, because fuck me. This shouldn't be called beer. This should be just called alcoholic juice. Oh, that's so nice, especially with the heat. It's like 25 degrees here. It's probably gone up a little bit more. It's madness. I was just in grouting the toilet, or grouting the fucking shower, and man, the sweat was pumping off me, and I was doing nothing. It's probably because I'm old. Anyway, alright, so let's move on. It's probably because I'm in Egypt for doing it in this fucking weather. Okay, so look, your levels from 1 to 20, it's kind of a normal role-playing sort of thing. Well, except for the likes of Call of Cthulhu, which is skill-based, okay? Your skills increase, and that's what I want this to be. Well, that's the idea behind it anyway. Okay, so that you're not leveling up and getting stuff every level. Although that could be a thing that we could look at, you know? Your skills are leveling up and you're leveling up. Basically, you're learning new skills, okay? That could be you leveling up. Alright, so let's say, you know, from the natural floor, you know, let's say the natural floor, you know, your natural talent is 2. Okay, so you start off with 2. So what do you need then to go from your level 2 to your level 3? You know, your level 3. Well, 500. Okay, so you need 300 more XP. So every time you do a task, you get that XP. So if you do a legendary task, or you do the master task we were talking about, that's 250 XP. You're almost there. But you have to remember, this skill level is really low. 3 is really low skill level. You know, your average skill level down here of an average human is 10. Okay? So that's where the average human is. Now, you're going to start off the game with this, and we'll probably allow a certain amount of XP that maybe you can divide in amongst your skills. And we could do that, you know, giving you XP. I'm not actually saying, hey, you have 20 points. We could say you have 15,000 XP, or you have 20,000 XP to divide amongst your skills. You know, and then you divide that in, and all of a sudden, wow, I am a master class. Because you know there's some idiot is going to do it. I'm a master of fucking shooting, you know. There's my 20,000. Well, if you look back over the skill, after a while, you know, you're not. How long is it going to take you to get to 19? Well, you're not going to get to 19, because 18 is your natural limit. You can't go any further. Unless you become, like, let's say, a legend. You know, an outlier. One of these fucking... You're a one-off Olympic medalist. You know, you are the thing that people tell stories about in the future. You know? Did I fucking wreck this thing? What's going on there? Yeah, I did. So, you know, and we have this example at mastery level, kind of like, just to show, you know, you're a hobbyist, you're average human, you're advanced entry sort of stuff. You know, you're professional, you know, top 5% of specialists, you know, you're up in this kind of category. You know, 18, that's like, you just can't go anymore. So that's the XP and the level sort of thing. Now, we still have to figure out the skills themselves, like. We have 2 skills. Maybe we should just come up with like 5 or 6 more skills, or maybe just let the players decide on what skills they want, and then, you know, here's your XP score. You use this exact same thing from, let the players come up with their own skills. Give them a blank space. Whoop-de-doo, off they go. Okay, all right. Now I want to take a look at some other stuff here. I want to go to the books for a second. Okay, so let's just flick over here and we can go to the books. All right, guys. We're back at Metamorphosis Alpha, just to have a look at this. I just want to say, there's no XP in Metamorphosis Alpha. You don't go up in levels. You get mutant abilities, and you get magic ray guns, and that sort of whack, okay? Gamma World, you do go up in levels, okay? But it's a little bit weirder, okay? Gamma World is actually more like Rogue Trader than you think with this sort of stuff. Maybe Gary was doing a bit of thieving, so let me just see if we can see this properly now. Aye, we can. Alright, we're in focus. So you can see here, we'll zoom in anyway on this, alright, so you can see it a little bit better. I'll try not to move my hand, so we're not kind of like going out of whack. Experience points required. Now, you get experience points the usual way. Okay, you actually get experience points from finding technology, okay? So you can see it here. As far as I can remember, this is the XP. It's kind of a decent idea, you're finding stuff and you're using it. Remember that, is it here? Remember that matrix from a few weeks ago? You're spending the time figuring out how that works. And that's exactly what experience is. You're putting the effort in to figure out something, okay? So you're putting the effort in to figure out this technology, and you're getting XP from it. And that will be the same with our skills. You're trying to figure out how something works. Like, you're making your roll, and you're succeeding, and you're moving on. You're getting a bit of XP for it, okay? So you can see here the experience points required for a bonus. It's not for a level exactly. So you go up. So you start off, you hit 3000 XP, okay? You roll a 1d10 and you consult the die roll. Now, 1 to 6 are like points to your mental strength, constitution, dexterity, charisma, physical strength, and intelligence. And a 7 to 10, 7 and 8 is 1 point a hit roll in physical combat, and 9 to 10 is plus 1 point per die of damage inflicted by non-energy weapons employed. Okay, so this is just your weapon skill. Now we could look at something like that. Where you accumulate a certain amount of points in your skills, and then or overall XP maybe, and then you might go up on this, and then you might be able to roll on something like this, and then that would maybe affect your stats, your strength, your dex, your cool, that sort of stuff. You could put that into it. Now we'll get to that in a second. I didn't want to pull out another episode of Rogue Trader. Okay, so I didn't want to pull out the Rogue Trader. What I wanted to do is, because what I originally used is this Gorka Marka. What a fucking game. Gorka Marka is fucking brilliant. If you can pick it up, go pick it up, especially with all the new vehicles coming out now for the Orcs. This would be fucking perfect. It's an absolutely fucking brilliant game. Alright, so do I have this in the right place now? Let me just check. Okay, so we can see, yeah, maybe this is it. Our experience. What? Okay, alright. Okay, so we can see here our experience and your type of warrior. Right, so there's different types of warriors. Your little shitty grots. Now, this probably would be the equivalent to classes, okay? Then your amount of XP that you get is calculated, because you need to win the battle to get the XP for the characters that survive, okay? I should say that first, like. So the lower level you are, if you're a lower level and you're up against a higher level group, you're going to get more XP, okay? If you win. Or if you lose. Which is the same sort of thing as what we're doing with the tasks, which funnily enough worked out fucking perfect. Okay? It's almost the same sort of thing, like, if not the same sort of thing. And then you get your experience points. So each time you go up on one of these, each time you go up to the next level, you're going to roll on this. advancement table here. Okay, so maybe we could do an advancement table and have a look at that. You know, that would be the same sort of thing, like. But again, I think we should do it as an equivalent of all the skills that you've learned, like, okay? So when you hit a certain amount of overall experience, you go up. Now, that might be too much fucking record keeping, so we might try and get rid of that. I think keeping track of every skill. I might just do it where it's just a tick-based thing. You know, you get 10 ticks, whatever. It could be that, instead of, like, recording experience. So you roll your 2d6, and then it gives you your stuff on the advancement table, okay? So let's say you roll a 2. That's the end of the bell curve, or the start of the bell curve. Choose any of the skills. Choose any of the skill tables and randomly generate a skill from it. Okay, so we'll show you the skill tables now in a second, or on the next page. Know what? Select one of the standard skill tables for the mob and randomly generate a skill from it. Okay. Ardor. Okay, so that's one to, you roll a 5, you roll again, so you can get +1 to your strength or +1 attacks. And moving on down it, +1 to, a 6. +1 weapon skill or +1 ballistic skill. Now that kind of shows, like, but you are kind of jumping around and you're at the mercy of the dice of what you're going up on. Now that's okay in a tabletop game where you have 20 guys, like, or 10 lads or whatever your mob is made up of. That's probably easy enough. And then you get your initiative roll and your leadership. So maybe we can have a look at that. I'll come up with something that I think is fair for character growth. Or not. It doesn't necessarily have to be fucking fair, like, just good, that feels like, oh, I'm advancing, I'm becoming stronger, I'm becoming better at stuff when I'm actually doing it, and the thing is, like, if you're gonna study more, you're gonna advance more in your knowledges, so maybe that's the other thing, like, depending on your skills, might be like, oh, your intelligence goes up, you've been studying a lot, or your strength or your dexterity goes up, you'd be jumping around the place and chopping people's heads off and shooting them in the mouth, that sort of thing, like. Okay, so this is then, I think this is like your skills or what you can pick depending on your class. So we could also look at that, like we could say that your class can only pick from this list, and this list. Like muscle, ferocity, that could be a fighter, Cunning and Daka, that could be your rogues, Odd and driving, or whatever, cunning, that could be your fucking shamans, So we're not going to go through all of these, but this is the table skill, But these are more like feats now. Do you know what I mean? Like, these aren't pluses to your thing. Like, look, a headlong leap. When the warrior gets into hand-to-hand combat with vehicles, he's overwhelmed by the road rage. The warrior gains +1 to their initiative when attempting to jump onto a vehicle and may choose who he fights once aboard. That sort of shit's not going to work. But you know what I mean? Like, you could randomly roll this and it will give you, like, oh, you were fucking, you know what I mean? Like, you can make big leaps with that and use your chain axe to fucking bait people into the ground. You get a couple of pluses on it or whatever it is to it because you're good at it. So we could do a feat system as well. And I'd say just maybe let people pick them instead of randomly rolling them, or just randomly roll it if you want that. And then your Daka and your Odd. Okay, so yeah, your odd skills are like your Doc and Tinker and that sort of stuff, and Fixer and Gunboy and all that sort of stuff. So you get kind of bonuses to those sort of skills, like, the fucking art. Like, I love the artwork in this book. The artwork is fucking amazing. Like, absolutely fucking unreal. Yeah. Oh, I'd love to play a game of this now. Anyway, okay, all right. Do we need to go back to the other stuff? I don't think so. It's short enough now. It's like 30 minutes now, and this 20 minutes. Probably a bit quicker than last time. Alright, so showing everybody an empty fucking screen now. So look, going forward, what's next? Like, well, oh yes, okay. So what's next? I think next I'm going to work on some weapons and armor and sort that out. And then at that stage, then we can run a couple of. I might run them. Sorry, I might come up with the weapons and armor and a couple of pieces of equipment, make up a character, and then make up a few monsters just off camera. And then maybe run a one shot, you know, solo sort of thing, so I can see myself and you can see like how combat might be, or you know how skills might be, you know, it kind of give an insight into how things are going to work. Plus, it might be nice to just make up a couple of monsters as well. Like, you know, I'll do up a couple of monsters in a map and then I put those up on the Patreon. You can take those as well. They'll be free. Oh, that's so good. Nice. Anyway, guys, look, go check out the Patreon. Everything is up on it, or will be. This will be up. All these charts will be up on it soon enough. And I'll probably just do a bit of a ramble on that, what I was talking about today. Probably not, actually. Charts will be up there for you. We're not going to change the charts. Charts going to stay the same. Character sheet will probably stay the same as it is. So you can fiddle around with it. Might do up a little character sheet then for some monsters for when we're going to go do that. But the next thing after this is going to be weapons and armor and equipment. Okay? So guys, thanks very much for sticking in there till the end of this 30 minutes. And I'll see you next time. Oh yeah, check out Patreon. Hit the like button. I know this is like not a great fucking YouTube channel, but it's not meant to be. Alright, talk to you later, guys. Have a good one.